Oh, hey there. This is Attempting International Recipes, and in this episode, I am redeeming myself with ANZAC Biscuits from Australia and New Zealand. ANZAC Biscuits are Australia's favorite biscuit, and it's actually illegal to call them cookies. Now, let's get into the whole premise of this series. I am not a professional chef, and that's the point. I am truly winging it in here, and I frequently fail when I cook things. I also am notorious for making absolute messes in kitchens while cooking things. But I do love trying international foods and exploring different cultures in the kitchen. Let's start with what the term ANZAC means. ANZAC stands for Australian New Zealand Army Corps. This is the armed forces of Australia and New Zealand. ANZAC Day in Australia is the equivalent of Veterans Day in the US. Most people in the US have never heard the term ANZAC though. Now let's get into the history of ANZAC biscuits because this might be the most interesting part of these sweet treats. Now ANZAC biscuits are created around World War I by the wives and women's groups of Australia and New Zealand and sent to troops fighting abroad. This is where it gets interesting. There's a bit of a misnomer about ANZAC biscuits. For starters, there's this story that ANZAC biscuits were created using the rations that the army had, and they were literally made in the trenches. That is not true, and I actually heard that multiple times. ANZAC biscuits were baked and made in Australia and New Zealand and then sent to the troops. They are still a wartime biscuit and a wartime food. They are not literally made out of war rations. Hardtack is what's literally made by the troops in the trenches using war rations. It's this war ration looking cracker. And then ANZACs are biscuits made by family members and other women's groups that were sent to the troops. Now, here's the funny thing about ANZAC biscuits. It's actually illegal in Australia to call them cookies. Now, cookies is the equivalent term in the US for what ANZAC biscuits are, but in Australia, according to Wikipedia, the term ANZAC and ANZAC biscuit are protected legally by regulations that restrict commercial production of the product. I'm equating this to champagne having to be from the Champagne region of France. ANZAC biscuits have to follow the original recipe because it is like kind of an Australian heritage recipe. They must be referred to or sold as ANZAC biscuits or slice and never as cookies. While it is legally acceptable to substitute ingredients in a recipe to cater to dietary requirements, there is a commercial disallowance for any substantial modification of the recipe such that they deviate too much from the traditional ANZAC biscuit recipes. Variations of the recipes posted on social media or written in cookbooks that merely include ANZAC biscuits are excluded from the regulations. So Australia clearly really cares about the recipe of ANZAC biscuits, which I love because that means it was an easy recipe to find online. Subway, like the chain of sandwich shops, was told by the Department of Veteran Affairs that they had to actually include certain ingredients in the cookie, and Subway determined that that was too expensive to make, even though these are like a wartime cookie and supposed to be cheap. Apparently it's too rich for Subway's pockets to make war cookies. Now let's get into why I have to redeem myself with this cookie. My significant other is Australian, and whenever he's missing Australia, I like to either go to a restaurant that has Australian food or try and make something that reminds him of Australia. So I tried to make him ANZAC biscuits. The recipe for ANZAC biscuits requires something called golden syrup. That's not readily available in the US, so what I did was sub in some Karo corn syrup, and it made essentially an entire sheet of hockey puck-like toffee. It still tasted good. It definitely was not an ANZAC biscuit. It was more in that like praline toffee kind of realm, and so I think he was being nice when he said they tasted good. I'm hoping this round I can successfully actually make an ANZAC biscuit. So what I'm doing differently this time around is I am actually going to make golden syrup. I have two recipes here, two actual recipes. one for ANZAC Biscuits, and one for how to make golden syrup. I have a feeling this is going to make a lifetime supply of golden syrup for me, but we'll see. I got the ANZAC Biscuit recipe off of recipe10eats.com. This is an Australian blog with a lot of recipes. Definitely go check them out. They had the top ranked ANZAC recipe in the US when you Google ANZAC Biscuit recipe. I also realized that I constantly accidentally refer to these as just ANZACs, and it sounds like I am literally cooking up some Australian and New Zealand troops in my kitchen. I'm not. I simply forget the word biscuit. And for the golden syrup recipe, I got this off of daringgourmet.com. They had a golden syrup recipe that seemed like I could do it, so go check them out too if you need a recipe for golden syrup. Now, before we actually get started with the golden syrup recipe, first, I'm going to prep something for my ANZAC biscuit recipe. ANZAC biscuits require something called desiccated coconut. It's a little harder to find in the US than in Australia. Essentially, it's just a drier version of coconut. So I have 1 cup here of normal American shredded coconut. So I'm gonna put this in the oven at 140 degrees for 1 hour. That should dry it up enough so that it can be included in this recipe, but not like toasted actually. Alrighty, place sugar and water in the saucepan to combine, bring to a boil, stirring regularly to prevent burning until the sugar is dissolved. Stir in very gently to prevent sugar water from splashing on sides of saucepan. Once boiling, gently stir in lemon juice to reduce lemon juice. Reduce heat to very low and gentle simmer. All right, 4 cups of sugar. We will need this later for the actual biscuit recipe. 1 1/4 cups of water. This is what we're working with here. This is probably a good time to point out my Brisbane, Australia apron that I'm wearing. Okay, this is looking like the gentle boil that I'm supposed to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Stir in. Leave the saucepan uncovered. Do not stir syrup again. Pull that out. Leave on very low for 40 to 60 minutes or longer until the sugar is a rich amber color. Alrighty, our golden syrup is finally done. That is looking golden to me. It's now time to move on to actually making the ANZAC biscuits. We have oats, sugar, flours right here, butter, golden syrup is back there, teaspoon of baking soda. Instructions: preheat oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Line 2 baking trays with baking paper. Mix flour, oats, coconut, and sugar in a bowl. 1 cup of plain flour. 1 cup of rolled oats. 1 cup of coconut. 1 cup. And I guess I start mixing. Okay. This is easy enough so far. It's making me wonder how I managed to mess this up so bad last time. Next thing is to melt butter and golden syrup. Place butter and golden syrup in a saucepan over medium-high heat and stir until butter has melted. Let's head over here. Let's get our butter in here. This should be 5 ounces of butter. This wrapper's really sticking to it. It's melting awfully fast, so let's turn that down quite a bit. This is like the mega burner on the stove, so it's just a little bit too powerful sometimes. Alrighty, 4 tablespoons of golden syrup. I'm thinking I might need to kind of scrape this as I pull it out. Alrighty, we're just mixing this until the butter melts, and then I kind of think it should at least incorporate a bit. The butter and the golden syrup, it's kind of like separated a little. Hopefully the heat helps that along. Add baking soda, stir to combine. It will fizz up. This is normal. It's 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Alrighty. Did it fizz? Do I need to turn it up? Oh, here goes. That is interesting. This is normal, it says, that it fizzes up like that. That is looking real weird. Immediately remove from heat. Would be good if that was on the previous page of what I printed. Pour into flour until just combined. The mixture will be crumbly, but should stick when you press it together. Oh dear. This looks a little crazy. I am mildly concerned about this because I kept it on the heat because I didn't read that instruction. It's like 2 separate layers. There's a layer of like this weird ass foam, and then there's like a layer underneath it of the butter. I'm gonna mix it till I see it combine a bit more. I think that's our only hope here. Okay, things are happening. It's looking better. Looking a lot better. That was weird. Okay, we have our coconut, oats, and flour here. I'm gonna pour our caramel in. Pour in butter mixture into flour. Mix until just combined. The mixture should be crumbly, but should stick when you press together. Okay. Oh boy. This is looking interesting. I'm really gonna scrape as much of this as I can out of here because it does look like it's gonna potentially be pretty freaking dry. Let's start mixing this. I gave the butter mixture a bit of a taste, and it's got a nice kind of like burnt caramel flavor. I don't know if it's supposed to taste burnt or if I burnt it, but we'll act like that's bougie and it's burnt caramel. I do wonder if, I think Australians say caramel and I say caramel. I don't know, it's always one of those ones with how do you say it? Caramel or caramel. I'm a caramel person. All right. It's interesting this has no egg, so I think that's part of why it was created by people sending these off to soldiers, is they keep for a very long time. There's just flour and sugar in this pretty much. A little bit of coconut, but there's no egg, there's no, I guess the butter could go bad. I don't know. It depends what you consider like can go bad. This was created because apparently they shipped well and they stayed good for long enough that they could actually make it to troops and not give them food poisoning. We have our tray here. Again, this is saying put a tablespoon. I'm just gonna eyeball that. Oh, that's about a tablespoon. Oh boy, okay. Oh dear. Okay, I think I'm gonna use my hands instead of the spoon to form these. That didn't look great. Okay, I'm gonna get... Why can I never get these right? Oh God. They're crumbling apart. I'm gonna push them together as much as I can. A full tray of ANZAC biscuits here. Let's get the other one prepped too. We will pop them both in the oven at the same time. Okay, we have our 2 trays of ANZAC biscuits now. I'm gonna pop them in the oven. They bake for, I think, 15 minutes. Bake 15 minutes, swapping trays halfway through during cooking or until deep golden. Bake for 12 minutes for chewy biscuits. So I'm gonna bake one of these for 15 and one for 12. There is a whole thing between crispy and chewy biscuits. I think I'm gonna like chewy better, but let's pop these in the oven. Here they are. Alexa, set a timer for 12 minutes. All right, the timer has gone off for the first batch of cookies. These are the 12-minute ones that we're hoping are more of a chewy consistency. Here is a peek at them. Let's take these babies out. Alrighty, we have a chewy ANZAC. Here it is with a close-up. Let's give this one a taste. Those aren't sweet at all. Did I forget something? I forgot to add the sugar. These cookies are cursed. I literally cannot get these right. I think it's just because I made the freaking golden syrup, which had 4 cups of sugar in it. I just forgot to add sugar to these. That's why they taste like freaking rich crackers. I would be so pissed if I was sent off to war and this is what someone sent me.
It wouldn't make
Oh. It tastes like a really bougie cracker without the sugar. Well, this has been Attempting International Recipes, and I have not redeemed myself with ANZAC biscuits. I don't know what it's going to take for me to get these right. I already sent a photo of these to my Australian boyfriend to see if he thought they looked right, and he said they look delicious, and just wait till he bites in and there's no freaking sugar. I'm kind of surprised they're like nearly as cohesive as they are, because the sugar would kind of help keep it together. Well, now I'm just gonna have to give it to him as is and see if he notices and is willing to say that there's something wrong with these cookies yet again, honey. Like and subscribe. I will see you next time, and maybe someday I will correctly make an ANZAC biscuit. I bet you thought I was gonna end it there, but nope. I have to redeem myself with these cookies. I gave my boyfriend one of the unsweetened ones, and they were so dry. He bit into it and coughed because it like turned to dust in his mouth when he bit in, and tried to choke him. So now I feel like the need to get this right. It's not very much in the ANZAC spirit of me to let a biscuit win. So I have gotten a different recipe. I will be remembering the sugar as well, but we think that potentially there's a few different ratios with the recipe that'll also help it not be quite as dry. So let's try and make ANZAC biscuits one last time and finally redeem myself with this cookie. With this biscuit. I can't call it a cookie. I can probably call the ones that I failed on cookies because they definitely were not ANZAC biscuits. I'll say that. But let's get to it. Okay. We have the meat. This is the ANZAC biscuit recipe number 2 from the Australian War Memorial, I think. Anywho, it's a fairly official ANZAC recipe. 1 cup each of rolled oats, sugar that I will remember to add, and coconut. Let's go find it. All right, cookies are done. It's time to get them out. I'm gonna pop them right here. We can see if I have redeemed myself with ANZAC biscuits. And biscuits are done, not cookies are done. Biscuits. Look at those. These are looking good and promising. And I am so impatient. I already have grabbed one. I know it would harden more if I let it cool. It's already staying together pretty good. Let's just give it a bite. Oh my god. I think I've done it. I think I actually made ANZAC biscuits. Alright, I think I have officially redeemed myself with ANZAC biscuits. I think I would put a little less sugar than I did in this version. These are really sweet now. So I'm thinking like maybe 3/4 a cup of sugar, half a cup of sugar, but these are tasty. They're very tasty. Be sure to like and subscribe to the Fruit Salad Social YouTube channel for more travel and international recipe content. Be sure to also check out our Australia Travels playlist to see what I did when I went to Brisbane, the Australia Zoo, Melbourne, the Yarra Valley, all over. See you next time!